on your pictures and how they've evolved over time, how do you approach pricing them? Like, do the galleries do that for you? Is there something that you have figured out over time that helps?
Yeah, it's a little bit of myself and the galleries when I'm selling in galleries. So when I first started, I had no idea how to price anything. I talked to another local photographer who had just exhibited in the gallery I was about to have my first show in. And I said to her, how do you do this? How do you start pricing? And so she explained what her prices were. And then I asked the gallery itself and I said, what do you think I should sell these for? I asked my printer, who is like a wealth of knowledge for me, and he explained his methods on pricing. And everyone had a slightly different method, but it allowed me to sort of center in on a good, maybe middle ground for myself. And I didn't want to be too ambitious because it was my first show and I'd only been shooting for a year. So I knew that I should start kind of low, at least definitely on the lower end of things. But I didn't want to sell myself short. So what I did was I asked myself, how many hours did I put into each image? How much is the show costing me? You know, how much extra time am I spending promoting on social media and things like that? And once I sort of added up the amount of hours, I decided on a price that I would feel good about being compensated for my time. And then I think that as you continue pricing your work, as you grow as an artist, you start to really put a lot more value, not so much on the physical hours that you spend, but on the creation process and thought process itself. How much thought went into the images, how unique they are within your portfolio personally, as well as compared to the art market. And then you can sort of go from there. But I always touch base with my galleries and I always ask, what do you think we can sell these for? Because they're the ones who have the expertise. I definitely don't. And usually artists don't have a very good outsider perspective on their own work in terms of pricing. So I usually ask and then set a minimum for myself that I feel comfortable with.
Okay. You're someone who is very prolific and there's a lot of things that you do. Are there rituals that you have or routines or programs or apps that you use that organize your life or make your life easier?
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that, by the way. That was very nice of you. I do. I'm a very conflicted person because I see myself as being very organized, but then like right now I'm looking at my office and it couldn't be more of a mess. So I'm a little bit of a hypocrite maybe, but I like to be really organized, especially lately in my career. So I have the simplest tools that I use. I'm using Gmail, for example, for my email host. And in Gmail, there's this really great feature called tasks, which you could get any app to do this for you, but I like having my email and my to-do list all in one place. So I always have tasks open where you can just write in your to-do list and then cross them off when you're done. And I love having that because it pops up everywhere on my phone, on my computers and everywhere. So I always keep a running to-do list that way. And then it makes me feel super accomplished because I can see the tasks getting crossed off, and that makes me feel so nice. So I have a routine as well, though. I don't use a lot of apps, but I'm really big on routine. So every morning I wake up and I answer emails first thing. I have a 24-hour turnaround policy for my emails. So I always make sure the emails are completely answered very first thing in the morning. And it usually takes me between 20 and 30 minutes or so to finish them if I just pound right through. And then I move on to any business items that I don't feel like doing because I'm very much a morning person. And then once I'm done with that, I can be creative for the rest of the day. So that's usually my schedule. So then I stick to my business and get everything finished, but then also get to have fun.
That's wonderful. You mentioned before that you used to wake up at 5 a.m. to take photographs. Are you a morning, like an early morning person? Do you still get up at 5 a.m.?
Yes. I mean, it fluctuates, sometimes 5, sometimes 6, but usually in that range. That's my happy time. I love being up really, really early, and I love watching the sunrise and going out on early morning shoots. And that's just when I'm definitely most productive and happiest as well. I feel really renewed in the morning. So I have, a great appreciation for morning hours, especially because no one else is awake yet that I know. And it's just sort of my time to get what I need to get done and drink my green smoothie and, all those silly things.
No, I've heard of other people describing that same thing, and I've always wanted to be an early morning person, but have difficulties with that. So is that something that just comes naturally to you, or have you trained yourself to enjoy getting up that early?
It does come naturally to me. But the funny thing is that like my husband is extremely the opposite. So there will be a lot of nights where I go to bed and then when I'm getting up, he's just getting into bed to go to sleep, and he's just totally a night person and he works best that way. And I remember talking to him about this and saying, but don't you wish you were a morning person? And he said, why? If I'm just as productive at night, why would I want to change that? So now I'm always telling people, just be whatever kind of person you want to be, as long as you're actually being productive in those hours.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely true. What would you say is the best advice you've ever received?
That's a really good one. I feel like anything that my mom taught me as a child somehow comes back to be really, really good advice as an adult. And actually, I don't know if this is so much a piece of advice, but an experience that she gave me that was really meaningful to me. When I was really young, we saw a hot air balloon in the sky as we were driving, and it was coming down out of the sky. And so my mom said, do you want to chase the hot air balloon? And my sister and I, of course, definitely wanted to chase the hot air balloon. So for about an hour, we just drove through the back roads of Pennsylvania, like to the middle of nowhere, trying to locate this hot air balloon. And eventually we found it and we watched it land in a field. And I've always felt like that moment in my childhood was so important because she showed me what it's like to chase something that you want and to go on an adventure and not worry about where you're going to end up, because it's going to be somewhere beautiful if you look at it the right way. So I think that's something that always stood out to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a wonderful story. My aunt was a hot air balloon pilot. So growing up, I have similar experiences to that, but in the sense that we're chasing it to find out where it's going to go. And that's the wonderful thing with hot air balloons is you can't control where it's going to go. Mother Nature will, you can go up and you can go down. That's all you can control. And the wind and current, will take you one way or the other, and you have to just basically kind of just let go and go with it.
This sounds like we need to do a photo based on this.
I definitely think so. That would be wonderful. So, Brooke, this has been fantastic. If the listeners would like to hear or see more of what you're working on or get a hold of you, what is the best way to do that?
My website is brookeshaden.com. Super simple.
Okay, excellent. And I will put a link in the notes. So again, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Brooke. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Advance Your Art podcast. If you like this episode, please go into iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button so that every single time I release a new episode, it will go directly to you without even thinking about it. If you're interested in hearing older episodes, please go to advanceyourart.com where you can find the catalog of everything I've done so far, as well as contact information and projects I'm working on. Thank you again, and have a great day.